I want, without thinking about any of the story that we just heard, any of the stories we just heard, I'm trying to focus on some of the things that pop out that are the strongest in your mind from all of what you've heard up to this point. Not a sentence, not a story, not anything like that, but if you were going to put something up there that stands out to you, two things that stood out from what you've heard so far. And if it's the same thing, that's fine, but get it in your mind first. Two things that stand out, two images that stand out in your mind from what you've heard up to this point. Strong images that were taken from things that have been said by us all up to this point. What would it be? Strong images that jump into your mind from the things that have just been said. I have a couple in my mind, but I don't want to say mine yet. Do me a favor, turn your paper, find a spot on your paper and just write them down. Two things. Two things that stand out to you from what you've heard so far. Make it short and sweet. Two things that stand out the strongest to you in what you've heard so far and everything that's been said. Two things. Who's got them? Got it? Legit? Okay. Two things. Got them? What's your two?
Donald Trump's authoritarian presidency.
So the authoritarian presidency. Second one.
The oppression of so many, even after so many years.
The oppression of Americans. If I say it wrong, you correct me, okay? All right. Wait a minute.
It's all right. I was just wondering myself.
Okay, you cool?
Okay.
Like he was saying power, so when I said like a podium, like how like Trump is like almost a dictator, you could say. And then how Joseph said that Trump kept repeating Mexicans are racist and drug dealers, like that was one of the biggest headlines for a really long time. It was one of the things that came up most. That line.
You know what I just saw in my mind when you said that? I'm just going to say that loud. I got to, because if I don't, it's just going to run around in there for a long time. I got to say it. First of all, I really like the podium. I think that's the coolest thing, the podium. But I also saw some hair standing there. And the words coming out from the hair. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I just saw that. I saw this like big old hairstyle, and then you hear from the hairstyle, these things being blurted out from this podium. It's like the podium is more powerful than the person. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Did you say both of yours?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you say again? So you said the podium. And you said him as a dictator standing there. Okay. Okay, James.
Two things that like stood out to me of this whole discussion is just like the clips of things being repeated, or Trump repeating certain statements, and the different representation of people.
So the different representations, you mean showing different people that represent different things that are being attacked?
Yeah.
Okay. So showing the different people, the different kinds of people that are being attacked by the presidents. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Okay.
So I really like the podium idea. And then also like what you're saying, that like if, and then like what if you actually act? I really like that part too.
So the podium is an important focal point, and then the way that the message is being rammed down people's throat in terms of it being repeated and repeated in hopes that you'll eventually accept it. Did I get everybody? Did I get you, Joseph?
Alright, I get it. So mine is basically Trump's reputation. And well, I was thinking like maybe at the end we could say they came for him again, but instead of ending it, we could say, but together, like, on, but together we can have basis or common, something like that.
So, together, we're,
Strong.
that's what went through my mind. Together, we're strong. Somehow. Okay. How many like the podium? Okay. Let's draw a podium real quick.
Uh-oh. Okay. You're I'm like, I don't
So
know.
basically,
Okay. No.
okay, so the podium is a focal point, right? Everybody feels cool about that? That's where the message is being shared. That's the power in the country right now. The country, the power to run the country is all being run by the, some people say it's the megaphone, it's the bully pulpit, it's the spot where they send the message out to the world. Okay? So right now in this country, the focus of the power is at the podium. So that's going to also be the spot that we could share a message. So we've been kind of piggybacking, right? We're kind of piggybacking that same principle. We're going to try and put a podium up there. Is it the person who is that is powerful, or is it the podium?
Could you imagine if like Obama would have done all of this?
Mm-hmm.
If he would have said all those things?
Never would have got there. Never would even got close.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I feel like to show more power, like on the podium, I feel like, you know how they, for scary stories, they put the light on the face of the person and everything else goes dark?
Wait a minute, say that again?
Like when someone's like telling a scary story, they put like the light on their face and everything else is like dark. You could
Yeah.
This podium, like put the light on the podium, everything else is dark. Like to show more power.
Yeah. So basically try and make the podium look like it's alive.
So personifying the podium, maybe?
Yeah. Allowing the podium to become more powerful than the person. Because it's not the person who's powerful, it's the person they put behind the podium that's more powerful.
I think we should incorporate like how the media has a lot of power too in the way they say things and the way things come out, how like it's perceived and how that changes a lot of things. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes, I do. I'm just trying to formulate it in my mind as a design or as a concept. But what that is that's basically the podium and it's the cameras. You ever seen when a person's at the podium and they're delivering a story or a thought, you hear the cameras, lights going and all that kind of stuff?
Well, maybe if I may, so like maybe what you guys were referencing about the clips. If you want to take a pick at the media, you could use clips from differing, news channels. So like a Fox News interpretation of immigration versus CNN or NPR or whatever, right? So that right there is also going to highlight, and it could even influence that point of view of that person that's like, oh no, well I'm okay.
So that spot where we are going, where you're showing those clips that say if, well they couldn't get that across if the media wasn't giving them the opportunity to do that. So they're all being saying it to the cameras. If it's true, then you should step aside.
A way I thought we could give more power to the podium, we could show not only people who are oppressed, but people who aren't feeling that, bowing to the podium at some point in the video, maybe at the end, or somewhere close to them.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Bowing to the podium. So basically they're paying homage to the power of the podium. Now, because the foundation of our story is complacency, And complacency is about letting things happen until it's too late. Somehow we have to show where we become numb and inactive. You know what I'm saying? We have to show where, despite all the things that are taking place at the podium, we've not become active until sometimes it's too late. I'm just putting this stuff out here for y'all to think about. Now, based on what we've said up to this point, we got the podium, right? And we're turning the podium into the character, right? Okay? So you're creating a scene. You got a podium. How do our characters play a role in all of this? How does the message get delivered from the podium now? How do we draw a story from this process? Yes.
Like I don't know, like I was thinking like if it were a classroom, like all the like as people are disappearing, like the lights get dimmer, so that way at the end, like all the attention's on the podium, and then it could say like you're next or something like that.
So say that again. You got the podium you're in the classroom.
Yeah, and then for example, like each type of race or whatever person's getting eliminated, the lights get dimmer and dimmer every single time, and when there's only one person left and all the lights just on the podium, the person on the podium or the podium itself will just say you're next or something like that.
That's a good idea.
Say it the way you thinking it.
So like she said that every single time that someone is eliminated, the lights get dimmer and dimmer until we finally see that there's one person left and they have no power. And they're all like, you're next. You're the next one who's going to be attacked. You're the next one who's going to be destroyed. That's all it sounds.
What if after the last person's left, we just show, because in here it says that she wanted to show silence after the entire thing happened. What if we just show the podium on a spotlight and just show that until fading it to black?
The podium?
Mm-hmm. Like nobody in the room, just the podium sitting in silence.
Well, I think that's really powerful imagery, especially if you're trying to say that, you know, the oppression that the government is, you know, dispensing upon other people. So you could even gradually see how, like, the person, whoever is dispensing that information in the podium, that light is growing darker and darker, and you're building that imagery that, you know, of that darkness and uncertainty and that power. And I think that's a really cool way.
What if you had a classroom with a bunch of different people in the classroom that all represent different factions in our society? And up at the front of the room, you have a podium with a television as a head. A television set as a head with some hair on it. You don't have to use the hair if you don't want to, but the hair is kind of funky. But if you had a television as the head, and then what happens is you show on the television the commercials of all the people who are being oppressed for different things, like the persons and the women who are now being victimized. You have all these guys being paraded across the screen saying, if it's true, he should step aside. Or, well, I think that was just a situation where the person had mental issues, you know. Or, all of the people parading with the tiki flames and all that kind of stuff. So what I'm saying is, on the television screen, you show the things that you want this class to see. But each time you're leading the story to a point where each time a group is being oppressed or attacked, the lights go low, and then that group of people in the classroom slowly disappear. Then the people in the classroom who are left can start having some conversation about what happened to them. Where did they go? You know, they told me earlier that such and such was gonna happen if we didn't do something, but, you know, I didn't expect something was gonna happen that soon. And then the head of the class starts talking about another topic, you know, whatever that topic happens to be. And by the time it gets to the end of that discussion, everybody's sitting there looking at each other, the class goes dim again, and then when the light comes back up, then it's fewer people. You see what I'm saying? They keep disappearing, and then they all look at each other and say, well, what happened to such and such? I was just talking to them, you know. Well, this was being discussed, but, you know, I guess they're gone or whatever, you know. Then the screen starts chirping up again and starts talking about another, you know, as a result of gun control laws, you know, we feel like that everybody should be able to have their own guns and whatever. Oh, a man got shot, I mean, a man lost it and shot up 59 people today in such a place. Oh, some guy got in a truck and drove down the street and a whole bunch of people, and then all of a sudden the lights go low, and then lights come back up and some more people are going, well, where'd that person go? You know, where'd this, well, last I knew they were going to go down to the site where all this stuff just happened, and you know, so now you got people disappearing because of the gun laws and stuff. Does that make sense what I'm saying? I'm kind of trying to tell a little bit of a story. I'm not saying stick with it, but I'm saying I'm seeing it become an interaction between the classroom, the people in the classroom who are there to be taught, to be delivered a message, the podium, and the screen, which is delivering the message from the standpoint of the media, and then the reaction is the people who are left each time until there's no people left. Unless, and then you have your moral of the story, which is what?
That we're too complacent with.
And the only way we're going to
Fix it is by
coming together. You see what I'm saying?
Going off of what you said with the TV, like at the end, you know how like that one gray screen and it all blurs out and like it makes that noise? You know what I mean? Yeah, that one you can have like the TV do that at the end.
What are you thinking? That's a lot of information, but I'm asking you now. You want to take a minute and kind of digest all that and think about it and come back?
Well, I got one question.
Okay.
What would the TV going off, what would we try to represent by that?
By the TV going off at the end?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it should just go off. I think what we're trying to do is leave the viewer with a message. And the message is, what is the TV going to say next?
Okay.
Because each time the TV says something, more people in the room disappear. See what I'm saying? And then at the end, you're trying to get people to figure out that it's important to work together. So that sounds like another message coming from the screen and from the podium. Because there are some voices out there that are positive voices that are trying to mobilize the society. Unfortunately, I think compared to the positive things people are trying to say, there's probably 60–70% of what's being put out there is negative. So 60 to 70% of the information that's being sent out there right now is, you know, Hispanics are lazy, and you know they should all, you know, you got criminals, and, you know, you see what I'm saying? All that's what's going out there. So now we got to we can end it with a positive message about people coming together and the power in that. And then the thought, the psychological thought she was talking about, the thing that you leave them with is, what's next? What's it going to be? Is it going to be all the negative stuff that keeps coming, or is it going to be, we're going to get together and work together to make things better? See what I'm saying? And then at that point, TV just goes, fade out.
What if we did like instead of the TV, we did like a Trump lookalike, saying all the stuff up there, like quoting his tweets, saying all the stuff that he said, and then in the end, all the lights go off. Well, actually, no. Everyone would come in, and they would like attack Trump, and then when everyone disperses, there's a wig, or like a squirrel, or like whatever. And then the lights turn on and everyone's united and everyone has come together and everything. Because he's eliminated.
That's something you got to think about. We also got to think about, now if we do a look-alike, how we're going to pull that one off. Who's going to be the look-alike? Because anything you want to create, we got to figure out how we're going to create it with the resources we have.
Who's willing to get a spray tan?
Huh?
Who's willing to get spray tan by fan trainings?
We could just get some really orange from each other. We get a
cheap one from Walmart.
Get a bald cap. Put a toupee on.
So right now, what we have is some elements that we have that could be powerful. Or first thing that comes to your mind is what?
Power.
No, that wasn't the first thing that came to your mind. Think about stop thinking. Out of everything we just said, all the conversations we just had, okay, all that information that's been written on the board. First thing comes to mind, symbol. Okay, second thing.
The TV.
Third thing.
White noise.
Huh?
White noise.
Podium.
Podium. Donald Trump. TV. White noise. What did I forget?
Dark
So-
room.
That's all.
Huh?
A dark room.
Dark room. No, that's not one of the things y'all just said though. What did you say?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
TV.
You said
TV. So Donald Trump. TV.
White noise.
White noise.
White noise.
Podium.
Podium. Those are the focal points of what we got. Okay? We got the TV, white noise, podium, Trump.
Yep.
That's it. TV, white noise, podium, Trump.
That was it? I thought there was one more. No?
That was it, right? TV. Concept of white noise makes it has a whole different meaning, doesn't it? TV, white noise, podium, Trump. Those are the focal points in what you just discussed. So your imagery is evolving around the concept of all the information that's being sent out there. We also had media in there at one point, right? Media. Let's put media in there. Now we said several times classroom. Like it was in a classroom, the podium was in the front of the classroom, and the TV could still act as the head of the podium. If the podium is a character, if the podium is a character and the television is its head, then it becomes a question of what is the podium saying to the people in the room? What is the television saying to the people in the room? What do we want the people who are viewing this commercial, this PSA, what do we want them to go away with? What message do we want them to take? And from what I've heard up to this point is our foundational thought is complacency and what it can create. What it can create the opportunity for. What complacency can create the opportunity for. And from your statements, one of the main things it can create an opportunity for is people being taken away, your rights being taken away. That's what your message that you've been sharing to this point has symbolized, is that as we become complacent, our rights are being taken away, and it's being taken away in the dark. Because every time the lights go down, people disappear. Right? So you got complacency, you got a classroom, you got a podium up at the front with a television as a head, and every time the lights go dark, people disappear because of their complacency and because of their lack of ability to work together. Then when the lights come back and people start asking what happened, then the television chirps up again and starts telling them another message, and as part of that message, the lights go dark again, people begin to disappear again. That's the story that we're telling right now. That's what we're saying so far. Does that feel right? What stories do we want to tell? You got 5 minutes. You're telling the story of the power in the podium, the power of media, the complacency in community, the taking away of your rights and the taking away of the public, But when the television chirps up, what stories are we wanting it to tell? What stories do we want to convey in the 5 minutes that we have? We may have enough time for it to show 3, maybe 4 stories. What 3 or 4 stories are most important right now?
Rape allegations.
Rape allegations,
Police brutality. I think.
rape allegations, police brutality,
Immigration reform.
immigration reform, complacency, and the need to come together. Now read those off one more time. Cynthia, read those off one more time.
So it's got rape allegations, police brutality, immigration reform, complacency, and the need to come together.
What's missing? What's missing? We're off to the side of that, we have the podium is the power.
As well as
What-
the media.
We've empowered the podium. We've empowered the media to form our opinions. So we are using the podium and the media of television as the power source in this presentation. And then those who are subject to it are the people in the classroom. Who's in the classroom? Okay, y'all's brains is shut off. Y'all's brains is shut off because I think we've already told you who's in the classroom. Who's in the classroom? Based on your story, who's in the classroom? Yes.
The students of all types of ethnicity.
So you got students of all ethnicity, I can't even get the words out now. Of all ethnicities, of all ethnic backgrounds. But the direct tie to that is rape allegations. So that means that when the rape allegation information comes across on the television screen, who disappears? The people who've been offended, right? So some of the people in the room are those who've been offended. They're the ones that are going to disappear when the light goes dark. Then, police brutality. So who's going to disappear in the room?
The people in the room. Black.
So you got to have people in the room who are going to be affected by police brutality.
Immigration reform would go.
You got the immigration reform stuff that's going to come across. Is that one of the topics that the television talks about? So therefore, some of the people in the room have to be able to disappear as a result of what the television is saying about immigration reform. Now, the question is, you're going to have a conversation that takes place. You're going to have a conversation that takes place in the classroom with those people each time the lights go dim, right after the podium has spoken, right? So the first time all right, how do we enter the scene? How do we enter the scene? Now, I want y'all to get out of your heads. I want you to think about if you turned on this television and the commercial came on, the PSA started to play, what's the first thing you want people to see? What's the artwork of what you're creating? This is the artwork now.
The students walking in through the front.
So the students are walking into the classroom, right? And they look up to the front, and what do they see?
A huge podium, and they start to.
What?
They see a podium with a TV on it.
As a head.
As a head.
We got to talk together, because if we don't, then y'all not drawing a picture in your mind. So when they walk in that classroom, have they seen this before?
No.
They have never seen this before, right?
So they start questioning why it's even there.
Oh, what's that statement they always saying? This has never happened before. So that if it's never happened before, what expression is on the faces of the people who walk into the classroom?
Distraught. shocked.
Astonishment. When you're astonished, what action do you take? Isn't that like being stunned? Astonishment? It's like all of a sudden you're like this, right? So while you're doing that, you're not thinking, really, you're just taking information in, right? Keep that in mind now. Astonished. They're walking into the classroom. And then they're talking to each other, right? They're, the bell just rang. Everybody's coming into the classroom. And all of a sudden, they catch a view of what's up at the front of the room, right? And it's a podium with a television as a head. They're astonished. That's where we want the viewer. Because the viewer is one of those people walking into the room, right? Am I pulling the pieces back together like we originally talked about it? So we have a third person camera that is one of the students, right? And everybody, including the students, are looking at the television, at the podium with the television as a head, with astonishment, right? And then the person who is the television, or the person who is the camera, where does that person sit in the room? I already know.
Right in front of it.
What does that person have to observe?
Everyone leaving.
Where does that person sit?
In the
In the back. Person sits in the back of the room because every time that light goes low and comes back up, what does that person see?
less people in.
Because they're the ones that's going to be there last, right? What's that name you gave me? James?
Donald Trump.
No. What was the name you gave me? What was it? Last Taken.
Oh.
Now, I know my mind's not stronger than y'all. Y'all got to keep up now. So the Last Taken, right, is the person who is the camera. Perfect name for the piece, Last Taken. They're going to see everything happen, and they're going to be the last taken. What are they going to see last? The TV do what?
The podium with the TV.
What do they see last? The last visual image that they see.
The green screen.
The what?
The green screen.
Yeah. Remember? Okay. So they all come into the room. They look to the front of the room with the podium and the television with the head. And their look, the expression on their faces is,
Shock.
no?
Astonishment.
Astonishment. Okay? They go, they have a seat. They're still staring at this thing. What is this thing doing while they're coming in and having a seat? Does it just sit there and do nothing, or what?
It'll
It could be off.
it could be off and then suddenly just come on when they all sit down.
You want continuity? What does continuity mean? Balance. You want balance? When they come in and they look up to the front, it's off, right? When they sit down, what's the first thing they see? Snow. White snow. Then all of a sudden, jumps into a story, starts talking. See what I'm saying? Does you feel it? If you don't say it, because it's got to do something. Go ahead.
You can start like with the gray screen and end with the gray screen.
Yeah. Then it goes. Now, what makes the television start to talk?